Kementerian Ekonomi ada mengatakan barangkali akan mulakan semula GST. Jadi dalam hal ini saya ada pandangan berlainan. Kita masih ingat sebelum 2018, iaitu pada tahun 2015, apabila kerajaan yang sebelum ini melaksanakan GST, kita bantah.
Jadi kalau pembangkang kata dia nak hapuskan GST ganti dengan SST, Pak mana nak, kalau kita tak dapat 45 bilion, kita akan jadi negara defisit.
On the 1st April 2015, Goods and Services Tax was introduced by the Prime Minister and the Minister of Finance of Malaysia, Datuk Seri Najib Tun Abdul Razak. Goods and Services Tax, or shall I say GST, is something that is no longer a foreign term in Malaysia.
The GST tax has terminally increased our total revenue in 2015 from 12.3% to 20.1% in 2017. The significant amount of total revenue has dropped drastically to 8.7% in 2018, the exact year where the government decided to switch their gears by raising GST to sales and service tax SST. What could be the reasons for the fall of the GST empire that our government tried to protect and transition away from GST to SST? What might be the reasons for the abolishment of GST? Would it be because of the countless complaints for the public? Or perhaps, like a ship navigating treacherous waters, it appears that GST has struggled to fill the government's coffers with the bountiful revenue they had envisioned.
Criticism and discontent may have surrounded the GST implementation, but it prompts us to ponder, as the general public, do we truly grasp what's in the best interest of our nation? Experts' opinions serve as invaluable resources to enhance our comprehension of the GST and its implications.
Bagaimana menurut anda masalah orang mengelak cukai atau melakukan penipuan membuatkan GST supaya dilaksanakan?
Okey, pertama sekali dari segi pengelakan dan penipuan cukai ini banyak faktor sebenarnya. Okey, antaranya adalah dari segi kesedaran, kemudian dari segi pengetahuan cukai dia, rakyat kurang bersedia. Okey, dia di politik kan. Okey, dia memomokkan dengan perkara-perkara kenaikan harga barang, nanti semua barang kena cukai dan sebagainya.
Bahawa anda percaya terdapat kekurangan pemahaman awam mengenai sistem GST.
Kebaikan GST ini adalah dia mengenakan cukai kepada semua golongan. Sebab itu kutipan dia sangat besar. Pengaruh media sosial ini sangat kuat sekarang ini. Bila kita nak menjadikan rakyat kita ini berpendidikan, khususnya berilmu dalam bidang cukai, dia bukannya satu tempoh masa one shot. Jadi apa yang kita harapkan ataupun apa yang kita cuba harapkan daripada kerajaan adalah kita masukkan silibus-silibus yang berkaitan dengan cukai ini sekurang-kurangnya di sekolah menengah. Seharusnya kerajaan memberikan satu keyakinan kepada rakyat bahawa dengan dia mengutip GST ini akan ada kenaikan mendadak dalam konteks hasil kerajaan. ketakutan rakyat ni, macam mana nak menghadapi kenaikan harga.
Pada pendapat anda, adakah GST akan dapat bertahan dalam dunia hari ini, terutamanya mengambil kira situasi inflasi global yang sedang berlaku?
Jawapannya ya, GST boleh bertahan. Ini dibuktikan oleh negara-negara lain lah. Negara-negara maju dah lama dah buat GST. In fact, negara-negara yang kurang maju daripada kita pun telah ada GST. Dan ia merupakan satu sumber pendapatan quote-unquote mudah bagi kerajaan. Setiap hari benda itu akan masuk kepada kerajaan sebab setiap hari kita berbelanja. Saya rasa GST merupakan satu elemen yang boleh menstabilkan ekonomi kita. Dengan bantuan pengetahuan cukai, kesedaran cukai rakyat kita yang maksimum dan total, mungkin dia boleh menurunkan harga dan boleh menangani inflasi secara jangka panjang.
Generally speaking, the implementation of GST has become a rigid problem to the community due to the increase of price of the goods and services. However, is your point of view regarding this matter worth hearing? Is it mutually beneficial or the complete opposite?
As a student, do you talk about or study the arguments about GST in your classes?
Yes, as a student, we do talk about GST sometimes in our class, and it's like a two-sided situation because it have pros and cons over this matter. So for me, as a pros, I think it generates more government revenue. So meaning to say, if they generate more revenue, it's like an increased government money that can be allocated to, education, industry. So meaning to say, if it's increased the funding, I think it will improve more on university and our school facilities. As a cons, I think it's related to more, the services such as for the cinemas ticket. I think it's added GST on it, right? So I need to say is if we want to use the services or to to be more going out, be more fun in Malaysia, I think it have a limitation on that. So for students, I think the cons is more to electronic stuff. So I mean to say, if you don't have a laptop, so I mean, not all students have a electronic stuff such as phone, like laptop and also tablet. So for us, I think sometimes we only look at the actual price. We don't calculate like how much is this when the GST added in this, the laptop. So for me, I think it burdens the student much more than before the GST exists in this Malaysia.
Could you tell me a little bit about yourself and your background as a business owner?
My name is Farhana, and as a business owner, I've been in freelance for about 4 years. It's quite recent, and I have a small business selling on-demand pastries and cookies, as well as I'm doing manuscripts. Right.
Thank you. So, as a business owner, have you faced any problems or seen any advantages because of GST?
Well, for me, I can give you 2 points of view. The first point of view is about problems with GST. The second point of view would be the advantages. So the issue with GST is that for small business owners especially, it's not possible for us to 100% comply to the rules of GST because we need to purchase machines and special equipment just to have that GST, to comply with the GST. And I think that's the main issue with GST as business owners, small business owners. And the other thing is that small business owners do not have sufficient resources and also do not have sufficient requirements that can be fulfilled by applying GST. For the advantages of GST, we normally would say that the service fee would help some of the business owners who are in service sectors such as those in the beautician sector, those in the restaurant sector, food and beverage. But for other sectors like those in the factory sectors and those medium enterprises selling goods and products, it may not be so much of an impact to them.
As a buyer, how has GST impacted your spending habits?
Okay, regarding your question, I think I would say in two situations. The first thing, not so much impact because of the things that I've bought are actually not too expensive. Look back at the receipt and then I try to understand what GST means, and then usually we got 6% for GST, and I think regarding my previously said, the things I buy is actually not too expensive, and the addition of GST, I think not so much impact to my
Spending habits.
my spending. So, and the second one, my luxurious stuff like new shoes, a new clothes, and so on. Somehow that's really impact my spending.
Rumors, like the sea's whispers, conceal truth in the depth of the sunken ship of mystery. The speculation on the returning of GST has left the public astonished and utterly flabbergasted, and that reminds me of how Malaysia fell out of love with GST back in 2018. Sotian Lai, President of the Federation of Malaysian Manufacturers, FMM, strongly advocates for reintroducing the GST in the 2023 budget to address economic challenges and reduce high national debt. He suggests re-implementing the GST at a rate that is the burden on the public, while accelerating fiscal deficit reduction and lowering the government's debt ratio. Like wildfire, rumors of the GST's return have ignited and swept through public discourse with unrelenting speed. The public's response resembled the diversely shifting currents around a sunken ship, a complex blend of emotions and opinions, with some embracing the idea while others staunchly standing in opposition. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim aligns with the public's opposition to the GST revival. He argues that people's incomes and thresholds must be raised to a reasonable level before considering GST reintroduction, despite its potential in reducing the national debt, which currently stands at 1.5 trillion ringgit Malaysia, equivalent to 82% of the country's GDP.
According to Mr. Bashir Ahmad bin Shabir Ahmad, economic lecturer in UiTM Seremban 3, implementing GST is not synonymous with tax avoidance. Citizens must comply with the country's tax laws, whether through GST or the other existing system. Despite attempts at tax evasion, it is fundamental duty of Malaysia's citizens to pay taxes. Thus, GST failures were due to insufficient government education, and a more effective public outreach could have yielded better results. Challenges in implementing GST include public resistance to extra taxes, as they prefer free services. Overcoming this requires government efforts in educating and creating awareness about the necessity of GST using digital platforms for effective communication. GST is likely viable in today's world given its success in developed nations. Our government can adopt and adapt the model to suit our country's needs, leading to increased contributions and future economic benefits.
Consider GST as an empty swimming pool where every purchase of a product or service adds a drop of water to fill it. When the time comes for the government to finance public services, they can draw from this pool of contributions to keep things afloat. However, as with all endeavors, there are inherent trade-offs to consider, where every advantage is accompanied by its own set of disadvantages.
Is the GST truly the goods and services tax? Or does it sometimes feel like the grievances, struggles and tension tax for businesses and consumers alike? Should the government consider reintroducing the GST? If so, what are the innovative approaches that can be adopted to address the criticism and challenges faced during its previous implementation? Or is it better if the government did not execute GST at all?
Jadi untuk soalan GST ini, saya telah menyatakan dari dulu semasa saya Ketua Pembangkang bahawa dari segi efficient, transparent taxation system itu GST. Tetapi kita belum bersedia.
Kita belum bersedia. Sebab apa kita belum bersedia? Sebab tahap pendapatan rakyat masih rendah. Jadi saya tidak fikir dalam masa 6 bulan, 1 tahun, itu boleh pertimbangkan pendapatan rakyat mesti naik dahulu. Threshold itu agak munasabah. Semua negara yang melaksanakan GST itu, termasuklah negara Singapura atau Kanada, New Zealand, itu dikira pendapatan minimum rakyat agak munasabah. Untuk sekarang ini, masih terlalu ramai 130,000 kemiskinan tegak.
So, what do you think?
And it goes like this. We'll get in your car and you'll need to kiss me. We'll talk for hours and night on the backseat.